Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to unlock a mathematical concept that's, well, it's pretty much hiding in plain sight. It's the secret tool that helps a business know if they've really got a hit product on their hands, and it's the same tool that lets you scale a recipe perfectly. Yep, we are talking about proportions.
So let's say you've launched a new product. Sales are up. Awesome, right? But how do you know if it's a real hit? I mean, is it actually becoming a bigger and bigger piece of your success, or is everything just kind of growing at the same rate? To get to the bottom of that, you've got to look past the raw numbers. You need to understand the relationships within those sales.
And to make this feel real, let's jump into a classic example. Picture this. We're heading to a small, family-run doll shop in Illinois. They have this iconic doll. Her name's Darty, and they've just launched a brand new companion for her, a little dog named Barky.
Okay, so the family has a simple but, a really crucial question. How well is this new Barky doll actually selling compared to their total sales? And maybe even more important, is its popularity actually growing over time? That's the mystery we're going to solve today.
Okay, check this out. Here's their sales data. Now, at first glance, you see Barky's sales went up from 60 to 95. That seems pretty good, right? But wait a second, their total sales also went up. So to find the real answer here, we need a seriously powerful math tool, one that helps us compare a part to the whole.
All right, let's dive right in. Before we can even touch that doll shop puzzle, we've got to get our tools straight. And that means really understanding the key difference between two ideas that sound super similar: ratios and proportions.
The difference is actually simple, but it's super important. A ratio, that just compares two separate groups to each other. So in our case, that'd be the 60 Barky sales compared to the 140 Darty sales. But a proportion, and this is what we really need here, compares one of those groups to the total. So like the 60 Barky sales compared to the 200 total sales.
So at its heart, a proportion is really just an equation that says two fractions are equal. That's it. Think about it. 5 out of 10 is the exact same thing as 1 out of 2. And this whole idea of being equal, of equivalency, that's the key that's going to let us fairly compare Barky's success from one year to the next.
Okay, but what happens when one part of our proportion is missing? Like, what if you need to find an unknown percentage? Well, it turns out there's a simple and honestly an incredibly powerful method for finding it, and it's called cross-multiplication.
And this four-step process is the whole secret. All you do is multiply diagonally across that equal sign, then you set those two results equal to each other, and you solve for your unknown. It's just a beautifully simple way to find that missing piece of the puzzle in pretty much any proportion problem you'll ever see.
That's exactly right. It is all about comparison. And now that we have this awesome trick to solve for missing values, let's get back to our doll shop and see what these numbers really tell us about Barky's success. All right, it's time to solve this thing. What we need to do is find the proportion of Barky's sales for last year, and then find it for this year. Then we can finally compare them and see if Barky's share of the business has actually grown. Okay, let's do the math. So last year, we had 60 Barky sales out of 200 total. If you simplify that fraction, you get 3 over 10. So basically, 3 out of every 10 dolls they sold was a Barky. Now for this year, 95 Barky sales out of 285 total. That simplifies down to 1 over 3. So, 1 of every 3 dolls sold was a Barky.
So there we have it, our two proportions. But just looking at them, right? It's not immediately obvious if Barky got more popular. I mean, is 1/3 really bigger than 3/10? Let's visualize this to make it perfectly clear.
And there we go. The chart just makes the answer totally obvious. See, 3/10, that's 30%, but 1/3, that's about 33%. The proportion of Barky sales has increased. The family can totally celebrate. The new doll isn't just selling more, it's actually becoming a more important part of their business. It is a certified hit. Okay, so now that we've totally solved the doll shop puzzle, let's take a look at how this one simple concept shows up in all sorts of other situations in our everyday lives. Here's another classic example for you. And really, this is just a proportion problem in disguise. What we're asking is this: 5 is to 6 as what unknown number, let's call it x, is to 100. We can set this up as a super simple equation. So all we do is write the fraction 5 over 6, and we set it equal to x over 100. And now we can use that awesome cross-multiplication trick we just learned. We'll multiply 5 by 100 and 6 by x.
And when you solve for x, boom, you get 83.3. So that means 83.3% of the pie is gone. That's a super precise answer, and it's all thanks to a simple proportion.
And it totally doesn't stop there. I mean, have you ever had to adjust a recipe? Proportions are what tell you exactly how much of each ingredient to use. They're also fundamental in things like art and architecture for creating scale and perspective. You know, making sure a drawing of a skyscraper feels just as massive as the real thing. It's all about keeping those relationships consistent.
Okay, so after all this, what have we really learned? What's the big takeaway from this surprisingly useful math superpower?
When you boil it all down, proportions are all about understanding relationships. They let you find those unknown values, they let you scale things up or down correctly, and, just like we saw with the doll shop, they let you make really meaningful comparisons to track change over time.
And that really is the big takeaway here. From sports stats and news headlines, all the way to the recipes sitting on your kitchen counter, proportions are absolutely everywhere. They're silently helping you make smarter comparisons. So the only question left is, now that you know the secret, what hidden relationships are you going to start to notice?